Okay. Hey, everybody. We're about to go live in about 5 seconds. Here we
We
go.
need a countdown,
Right.
like a
Here we
NASA
go.
countdown.
Here we go.
So, George, you're fascinated with language. Why?
Because language is how they hide things, Larry.
Hide what?
Reality. Nobody lies anymore. They rename it. Example. It's not spying, it's surveillance. It's not propaganda, it's messaging. It's not censorship, it's moderation.
That concerns you?
No, what concerns me is people believe it.
I don't like words that hide the truth. I don't like words that conceal reality. I don't like euphemisms or euphemistic language. And American English is loaded with euphemisms because Americans have a lot of trouble dealing with reality. Americans have trouble facing the truth. So they invent a kind of a soft language to protect themselves from it. And it gets worse with every generation. For some reason, it just keeps getting worse. I'll give you an example of that. There's a condition in combat. Most people know about it. It's when a fighting person's nervous system has been stressed to its absolute peak and maximum, can't take any more input. The nervous system has either snapped or is about to snap. In the First World War, that condition was called shell shock. Simple, honest, direct language, 2 syllables, shell shock. Almost sounds like the guns themselves. That was 70 years ago. Then a whole generation went by, and the Second World War came along, and the very same combat condition was called battle fatigue. 4 syllables now. Takes a little longer to say. Doesn't seem to hurt as much. Fatigue is a nicer word than shock. Shell shock. Battle fatigue. Then we had the war in Korea, 1950. Madison Avenue was riding high by that time, and the very same combat condition was called operational exhaustion. Hey, we're up to 8 syllables now. And the humanity has been squeezed completely out of the phrase. It's totally sterile now. Operational exhaustion. Sounds like something that might happen to your car. Then, of course, came the war in Vietnam, which has only been over for about 16 or 17 years. And thanks to the lies and deceit surrounding that war, I guess it's no surprise that the very same condition was called post-traumatic stress disorder. Still 8 syllables, but we've added a hyphen. And the pain is completely buried under jargon. Post-traumatic stress disorder. I'll bet you if we'd have still been calling it shell shock, some of those Vietnam veterans might have gotten the attention they needed at the time. But it didn't happen. And one of the reasons is because we were using that soft language, that language that takes the life out of life.
We squint at the sun because it's bright. We squint at people because they're not. The Kate Daly Show starts now.
All right. Welcome, Kate Daly Show. Happy to have you guys. And of course, Melissa is with me, Midwest Melissa today, and happy to entertain conversation today with all of you. And of course, you can call in, the numbers on the screen, and you can text in. And we've got a great topic for you. That was George Carlin. George Carlin, typically pretty woke, but some great comments from him, because we did change the wording and we thought of it in a different way all through war. You know, I talked about war yesterday, and because we had just gone through Memorial Day, and we all have vets in our family. We all have people in the military, and lost too in the military as well. And so I just thought I should have played that clip yesterday because it was so perfect for talking about how we also just sort of, I don't know, as we go, we change it up. You know, the deep state changes its name all the time too. I don't know if people realize that. It's a name change. It's a word change. It's meant for a whole different connotation, and people don't connect the dots between what George Carlin just said. So I wanted to play that for you because I loved the one thing I did like about him. And I do actually felt like he was taken out, by the way, is because he was speaking a lot of truth. I mean, if you get past the woke stuff, he was actually saying a lot of things that were very true about the system and observations that he made. And so I really appreciated that. And once in a while, I'll play him on my show because there were some things that he said that were just like, oh, jaw drop. Anyway, Midwest Melissa, how are you?
I'm good as always.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I can't wait to get into this today. We're going to talk about the Google, and this is going to be interesting for sure. So I'm actually excited to hear what you've been researching. This will be fun.
I wanna start out with a quote, actually.
Okay.
Way back in the day when I was still kind of wet behind the ears, I read a book which was called Teaching as a Subversive Activity, written by Neil Postman.
Okay.
And he has commented at length. He wrote about education. And he's commented at length about technology, education, all kinds of things. And here's his quote. Anyone who has studied the history of technology knows that technological change is always a Faustian bargain. Technology giveth and technology taketh away, and not always in equal measure. A new technology sometimes creates more than it destroys. Sometimes it destroys more than it creates, but it is never one-sided. The invention of the printing press is an excellent example. Printing fostered the modern idea of individuality, but it destroyed the medieval sense of community and social integration. And that's how long, and even we can even go back farther than that. We can go back all the way to the ancient Greeks, who were bemoaning the fact that because they wrote things down, they had an alphabet and a written language, that it was destroying people's memory.
Oh.
They could no longer recite the long epic poems. And this was a negative in their book.
Yeah.
And then we get to the printing press, and people said, oh, well, now that we have a printing press, people won't be able, we won't be so reliant on the church or the local lord. There's always an argument on either side. And what I found this fascinating article called "Is Google Making Us Stupid?" by Nicholas Carr.
Okay.
And he has some very interesting things to say.
Okay.
So, having read that, I realized that I kind of fit in the box. I don't know if you've noticed it, but I'm old
sure I
enough
have.
now that I remember the days before the internet. In fact, when I was in graduate school, I bought my first word processor because I was doing so much reading and typing, and I had to do all that. But when I was in college as an undergraduate, I was typing my papers on an old typewriter.
Wow.
Not exactly the highest tech stuff.
We should do a show called "That's How Old We Are."
I had an old typewriter. I just was thinking about that the other day. Anyway, what I noticed recently, and I've always been a kind of a hardcore reader. I could pick up anything and read it.
Okay.
And in graduate school, I read very difficult things. And I could sit down and read a book in a week and have it digested and be ready to write a review of it and discuss it, whatever. But I noticed recently, I can't do that very well anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I've noticed that too.
Yeah. And sometimes I have to really discipline myself. And I've also found that I have to remove all the distractions in my room to read. And then I kind of attributed it to my age, but maybe not. Is some of this what's known as the Google effect?
Well, I mean, it could be. I was, before I ever did political talk and radio, and I mean, way back, like in my 20s, I was a waitress, and I could remember everyone's order, everyone's drink. I could remember everything, and I could remember it for months and months and months and months. Like they would come back, and I would tell them what their order was, and I don't know why or how I could do it, but I could do it, and I never wrote anything down ever. And I couldn't do that. I'm shocked at how bad it is now, like my memory now. So I don't know. Is it natural decline or is it this? I don't know.
Well, it's hard to say. So here's what Carr is saying. And I find this is kind of an uncomfortable quote from him. He says, I've had an uncomfortable sense that someone or something has been tinkering with my brain, remapping the neural circuitry, reprogramming my memory. You ever get that feeling?
Yeah.
Are we being reprogrammed? by the internet? And I think it's a
Mhm.
really, really important question to ask.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of reasons for that. In studies with children
Mm-hmm.
who are considered, and I first heard this term a long time ago, digital natives.
Mhm.
And I'm not a digital native, and you aren't either. We did not grow up with the internet at our fingertips.
Mm-mm.
It came to us as much more mature, closer to adulthood.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say when I was in grad school I was fully an adult as I am now, but
Mhm.
the teaching and my learning was pretty much in place by the time I got to graduate school.
Mm-hmm.
But what they find about digital natives, children who have had the internet available to them since they were born,
Mm-hmm.
can't ever remember anything different.
Mm-hmm.
They find that they are more vulnerable to attention fragmentation, impulse control, and reduced deep focus capacity. Now, I guess the question is,
Mm-hmm.
are those good things or bad things? Or do we even know yet if they're good or bad?
Hmm.
And what does the fallout look like
Mm-hmm.
on that? I, for sure, all the studies with children seem to indicate that children who spend a lot of time
Mm-hmm.
with their devices
Mm-hmm.
are much more susceptible to challenges with concentration.
Oh, for sure.
And teachers in classrooms are seeing that everywhere. And if there are smartphones in the classroom,
Mm-hmm.
children are being distracted by, even if it's not theirs, even if they
Right.
don't have a smartphone in their hand,
Right.
if another student in the classroom has a smartphone, every time that little ding, every
Mhm.
time a notification pops up, every time
Mhm.
that other student pulls out a device and looks
Mhm.
at it,
Mhm.
it is distracting to everyone in the classroom.
Right.
And by the way, schools that have bans on
Mhm.
their technology stuff, they have a ban on like personal smartphones in the classroom.
Mhm.
When they survey the students in those schools, those students are still claiming that they are
Mhm.
accessing their smartphones 5 or more times during the school day,
Interesting.
even with a ban.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is another interesting thing. In the schools that have adopted the one-to-one model, one student, one computer, they're finding test scores declining. So I think you have a cut from someone who is testifying before Congress. Let's go ahead and play that.
Oh, okay. Here we go. Here's the neuroscientist. Here we go.
My name is Dr. Jared Cooney Horvath. I'm a former teacher turned cognitive neuroscientist who focuses on human learning. And I do not receive funding, nor have I ever, from big tech. So a sad fact our generation has to face is this. Our kids are less cognitively capable than we were at their age. Every generation has outperformed their parents, and that's exactly what we want. We want sharper kids. And the reason for this largely has been school. Each generation spends more time in school. We use school to develop our cognition until Gen Z. Gen Z is the first generation in modern history to underperform us on basically every cognitive measure we have, from basic attention to memory to literacy to numeracy to executive functioning to even general IQ, even though they go to more school than we did. So why? What happened? What happened around 2010 that decoupled schooling from cognitive development? It can't be school. Schools basically look the same. It can't be biology. This hasn't had enough time to change. The answer appears to be the tools we are using within schools to drive that learning. Across 80 countries, as Jean was just saying, if you look at the data, once countries adopt digital technology widely in schools, performance goes down significantly to the point where kids who use computers about 5 hours per day in school for learning purposes will score over 2/3 of a standard deviation less than kids who rarely or never touch tech at school. And that's across 80 countries. Bring it home to the US. Let's go to the US. We have our NAEP. That's our big data. Take any state. Here's a fun experiment you can try. Take any state NAEP data, compare that to when that state adopted one-to-one technology widely, and watch what happens. The NAEP data will plateau and then start to drop. Of course, this is all correlative. What we really want is causative. To get causation, what you need is academic research, and you need mechanisms, explanations for why we're seeing what we're seeing. Luckily, we have academic research stretching back to 1962 that shows the exact same story for 60 years. When tech enters education, learning goes down. In fact, because what do kids do on computers? They skim. So rather than determining what do we want our children to do and gearing education towards that, we are redefining education to better suit the tool. That's not progress, that is surrender. So as we go through our discussion today, there's gonna be a lot of talk about smartphones and social media, rightly so. But I'm the voice here to remind you that even in schools, it doesn't matter what the size of the screen is, if it's a phone, if it's a laptop, if it's a desktop, and it doesn't matter who bought it. Is it school sanctioned? Does it have the word education stamped on it? It doesn't matter. All of these things are also going to hurt learning, which in turn are going to hurt our kids' cognitive development, right at the time when we need our kids to be sharper than we are.
Wow. I mean, I have to agree. I don't see it doing any good. I mean, do we have the numbers yet? Ever since we installed these things in our schools, what's happened?
Well, it depends on how you want to look at it.
Okay.
It's like Neil Postman was saying, it's a Faustian bargain. For example, is the introduction of technology into the classroom helpful for students who are physically disabled or neurodivergent in order to deliver education to them in ways that they can process better?
Right.
That's a plus.
Yeah.
But is it also a negative in that we have a whole lot of other kids who are completely distracted by the constant flashing lights and buzzing, and it has become an entertainment classroom.
Right.
And when it's not entertaining enough, they just turn it off. They just shut off the education. So we're seeing declining test scores, standardized test scoring across the country. And I'm not the biggest fan of standardized tests.
Right.
But it is one data set that does seem to indicate that at about the same time as American schools were adopting one-to-one technology in their classrooms, across the country, test scores began to decline. Now, were they on the decline before that? Yes, they were.
I was going to say, yeah. Yeah.
So that's why these things it's hard to make a causative argument about it. But what is not so hard to make an argument about is how, and there are studies about this, how are our brains actually processing information differently with technology in front of us than we did before? And that's what I find to be really fascinating.
Yeah.
Like I said, those of us that grew up without that in our classroom, we already have some reserve to draw on. We already know some ways that we learn, and we can go back to those ways more easily. But children who are in the classroom for the first time, this is it for them.
Yeah.
This is how they're going to learn. This is how their brains are going to process without some real dramatic intervention.
Do you
go ahead.
Do you have anything on handwriting?
Oh,
because
not prepared for today.
Okay.
Just what I know.
I just briefly wanted to give a minute on this because I thought this was kind of fascinating, and I just ran across it this week. So Audrey van der Meer did a study, and I think this was done it was Norwegian, and basically they put all those little sensors on these kids' heads, and they watched while they were on a computer doing handwriting. And so the students, they looked at the data where they would type the same word on the screen, or they would use a digital pen and do the handwriting. And when the students wrote by hand, the brain lit up everywhere at once. And the regions responsible for memory and sensory and the encoding of new information were all firing together in a very coordinated pattern that spread across the entire brain, the entire cortex. So the whole network was awake and connected. And when the same students typed the same word on the keyboard, the pattern collapsed almost completely across the entire brain. Isn't that fascinating? Most of the brain went quiet, and the connections between regions had been alive seconds earlier, where there wasn't any life on the EEG once they started doing the typing. So same word, same brain, same person, and two completely different neurological events. And I just thought that was so, so fascinating, because the reason turned out to be and it even surprised this group that nobody had really paid attention to her work before. But so writing by hand was not one motion, but a sequence of thousands of little tiny micro movements. And it was coordinated with eyes in real time. And so where each letter is a different shape, that required the brain to solve a slightly different spatial problem. So the fingers, the wrists, the vision, the parts of the brain that track position in space are all working together to produce one letter, then the next, then the next. So typing throws all of that away. And I had no idea about that. I thought that was so crazy. And I was so glad that I had read that, because I didn't know. You don't really realize like the things that are going to impact us the most. And handwriting is a lost art. They don't teach it.
Well, I would also add, as a secondary thing to that,
Mhm.
that is one of the reasons why I am a huge fan of music in the classroom.
Yes.
Because music, and by music, I don't mean just listening to music.
Mhm.
I mean actual performance, where and we all went through this, like as
Mhm.
parents and as kids.
Yeah.
They stick a recorder in your hand and you learn to play Hot Cross Buns,
And we all
everybody
sound like
laughs
total
about how
crap.
horrible it is. But there is something that happens in
Yeah.
your brain when you actually make music yourself.
You know what's interesting? I taught guitar for a number of years. This was before I was ever in political radio, and teaching guitar. My mom was a guitar teacher. I taught guitar, and honestly, I didn't take anyone under the age of 8. And the reason, people would always ask me why that was, and the reason was because at 8, you get something happens in the brain. Something goes on, and I don't know what it is. I'll have to look into it further. But the kids after the age of 8 were able to grasp and implement music faster at that age than they were when they were little. And I noticed that all of a sudden they could rapidly kind of absorb and do. So it's kind of fascinating, because after teaching music, I do agree with you that there is an impact there, and just a correlation between eye, hand, brain. I don't know what it is, but it really does impact for good somebody's ability to learn. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, and we could talk about this forever.
Right.
This is something that I have invested in. I've got both of my sons are musicians. I myself am a musician. And when they were in very early music education,
Mhm.
we put them in a program that the founder of the program said music learning is akin to language learning.
Mhm.
That the same neural pathways are activated. And so the music program that they were in was all singing. It was all singing and dancing
Yeah.
and rhythmic stuff,
Mhm.
because we're building a vocabulary in a child's body that then gets manifested, like you said, about 6, 7, 8.
Mhm. Mhm.
When they have ears that are developed, they can then do different things.
Yeah.
And both of my boys have very good ears, very,
Mhm.
very good ears. And I know it's because that was in their brain and in their body before, while their brain was actually building other language pathways. So what are we doing to kids now? And let me say this as well. One of the things that came out of this Google stuff
Mhm.
is that no longer, for example, I don't, it was a huge, ugly battle in my household when I was in, I think about 3rd grade. We had to memorize the multiplication tables. And it's
Yeah.
like a rite of passage.
Mhm.
And my teacher said we didn't have to memorize them. And my mom and dad said, "Oh, yes, you do."
Hmm.
And there were many tears shed over this and much resistance on my part. But they did. My parents said, "You're going to have to memorize this." And so what they have found is in classrooms today, there's virtually no memory work left.
Mm.
Teachers are not asking students to remember things. They're being taught now how to find them, how to
Oh,
find
interesting.
information.
Yeah.
We have the world is available at our fingertips, but what have we traded? So we have infinite access to all kinds of information,
Mm-hmm.
but is just finding and locating information the end of education?
Mm.
Or is there a meditative component of education
Mm-hmm.
in which, if we slowed the process down and ask
Mhm.
people to remember things,
Mm-hmm.
that we build a neural pathway where we can compare, is this piece of information better than this piece of information, or is all information the same? And that's what deep
Yeah.
reading does. That's what deep meditation does. And they're finding that students are losing that ability. They're great. They're very quick at finding
Mhm.
information. And they did a study with some, I think it was university students, and they had them over a series of days. They had to come in and find information. And they had same students in both tests.
Mm-hmm.
They had them find a certain set of information out of an encyclopedia, and then they had them look it up online. And then they came back and retested them like 3 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
How much of what they looked up in an encyclopedia could they remember against how much that they had
Mm-hmm.
looked up online?
Interesting.
And, we
Yeah.
all know what that answer is going to be.
Wow.
The stuff you look up online, it passes through your mind so fast
Mm-hmm.
that it never really takes a hold. Stuff that you have had to look for and read through, and I'm in an
Mhm.
encyclopedia and I have to read the article to see if the information is there,
Mm-hmm.
it stays a little longer.
That's fascinating. I know that typing using the computer lets the brain coast, right? And writing, actually, you have to utilize all those facets of your brain. And there's lots of studies on that. But as far as that goes, that's what they proved, was that it just lets your brain coast. And so if I were somebody that thought that there might be well-laid plans, which I do, then I would think that they were making people very dependent upon Google and upon the internet for kind of replacing their brain. I mean, you jump on and you search and you find things, like you just said. It's all about finding. It isn't about thinking. So we're there to find. And if we can't find the answer, what are people going to do that have been trained up in this, like from a little kid on, in the school system, even in the public government school system? What's going to happen when they don't have access to the internet because they don't agree with what's happening, and they get that advantage taken away from them because maybe the cost of it is compliance? Then what happens? I would imagine that this is producing a very dependent generation right now, right?
Well, it's fascinating depending on who you read. There's lots of, there are absolutely positions on this. There's a big push right now to monitor and regulate, control the internet. And no one seems to be talking about how do we make users of the internet more aware of what's happening to them,
Right.
to their brains as
Mhm.
they use the internet. For example, if we talk about misinformation, there's so much misinformation out there. Well, the thing that makes us vulnerable on misinformation is that we're just looking for the answer. We're not actually processing what is being said in that answer.
Right.
And so when we turn over, and this is what the whole there's a whole argument on this, who should monitor and patrol the internet as we go towards AI increasingly. Who will be the gatekeepers of that information? Instead of training people to be critical thinkers, we're training them to be critical and quick finders.
Yeah.
And that's a real difference.
Mm-hmm.
Another really interesting person that has some very interesting things to say is a guy named Tristan Harris. He was a design ethicist at Google.
Mm-hmm.
And he wrote an article called How Technology is Hijacking Your Mind.
Okay.
And what he says in that, and this is his very first point, is If you control the menu, you control the choices.
Okay.
And so he says, it is the nature of the internet that it only gives you a list of things to choose from. And if we are trained to just find an answer, just find the answer, then we don't stop ever to, and he points this out. We're not stopping to ask ourselves, what are we missing here?
Right.
What has not been given to us? And he cites this example. It's an interesting example. He said, you're with a group of friends and you say to your friends, hey, where can we go that we can just enjoy our evening together and have a chance to sit and talk and just be together? And he said, so what will Google give you is a list of bars in your area or restaurants. And he said, that's the list. And you think now, oh, these are my choices. He said, what the internet does not give you is, oh, there's an art gallery opening just right down the street. That would be a fascinating place to go with your friends. Oh, look, this place over here, they're playing live music on the square tonight. We could go over there and enjoy some time together. You're not getting, the bookstore is having an open house, whatever. He said, we have ceded our control of our choices over to a list that's been prepared for us by someone else.
So true. That is so true. Oh my gosh.
So keep in mind when we tell our students, for example, when my kids were in school, they had a set of databases that they could use to research in.
Okay.
So they had to do a controversial paper. We all had to do these papers when we were in high school or junior high. But they had to only draw information out of the acceptable databases.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Now keep in mind, he who controls the menu controls the choice, controls the outcome. So we looked in our household for topics that they could address that might show both sides of an issue, and it was very difficult to find because those databases that were school approved, government databases, if you will, or educational databases, simply didn't have the other side of the argument there. So, like I said, if we think about what's being done, like actually biologically in our brain, that we're trained, there's a reward for finding that information fast. There's a dopamine hit. Oop, I got the answer. Boom, I'm done.
So true. End of thinking, because you didn't really think. It just was handed to you. Yeah.
We don't stop and say, well, what was not on this list?
Yeah.
And that includes in those research databases, what else could I find if I was really given access to all the information? We went through that. I hate to use this example over and over and over again, but look what happened during COVID. There was a censorship of information for sure. And instead of having an electorate or a citizenry that was capable of thinking for themselves or trusted to think for themselves, we were given a menu that said, we're all in it together. You have to do what's right for everyone else. They didn't really tell us, it's all about the science. It's safe and effective. All those things, that was the menu we could choose from.
Right.
There was no other menu offered.
Interesting.
Oh, that's very scary stuff.
It is scary because I think people go into Google, and I go into Google in the back of my mind, and maybe this is just how I'm built, but I go in the back of my mind going, what are they missing? But I don't think a lot of people do that. I don't think I'm specifically talking about like a rabbit hole I'm going to go down. If I'm starting with research, I'm looking at what's missing in this story, what doesn't make sense, what isn't fluent in this, because I look for the holes, right? Rabbit hole, right? I look for the holes. And then you have to think in order to go down those rabbit holes. You do the same thing. And so it's kind of amazing. Our kids, though, are taught that the answers coming out of Google, the answers coming out of ChatGPT are the final answer, the truth. And it's like, no, it's laden with holes. It's laden with misinformation and disinformation and all kinds of stuff. But they're taking it as, well, Google says this, Chat GPT says this, so therefore this is what the truth is. And it's really disconcerting.
Well, I have done an experiment lately.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I just recently learned about all of the AI, the chatbots, if you will, is that they were designed to please the user.
Oh, interesting.
They will tweak information so that, this is giving like ChatGPT more credit for having a personality than it deserves, but they're looking for a way to make you happy. So they look at the way you've asked the question, and they're going to answer your question, even if other information is out there. Unless you ask for it, it's not going to give it to you. So I have begun, for example, I used some AI in preparing this.
Right.
So I got on there and I said, is the internet actually changing brains? Is it changing our brains, the way our brains function? Give me the argues, both pro and con. What do you see is, what is changing, what isn't changing? And then I've started asking it, tell me what I don't know to ask. There's ways to phrase, and there's all kinds of people doing this now. If you scan through Instagram, they'll tell you, like, there's certain ways to phrase a question that will get you more information.
Right.
And it'll get you better information.
Right.
So fascinating. So the first time today on ChatGPT, when I said, tell me what's wrong, how is the internet negatively changing students' brains? I got a list.
Okay.
And then I said, what's the other side of that argument? And I got a list there too. That said, oh, well, some of the studies are flawed in this way and that way. And there's people who say that, blah, blah, blah. It's ChatGPT is, you got to be a defense attorney. You've got to think these people are only giving me an answer to the question I ask. They're not volunteering anything else.
Here's a text coming in. It says the algorithms are weighted to please. And that is true. It's going to tell you how awesome you are. What a great thinker you are.
Right.
For looking something up. Yeah. You're always right.
Yeah.
It's true.
And so.
And give you the result you want. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to be, yet again, we have to become smarter than our smartphones.
Right.
We have to think about, and are we teaching our children in schools to do that? And I'm not sure a third grader is capable of that yet.
Yeah.
But are we teaching it in middle school and high school either? Are we just teaching them to go out and here's the core. We're not really teaching people how to address information, which is going to be the thing that we're going to have to do.
Yeah.
We need students and people and adults and kids and everybody who know how to address the information, not just take the information and say, wipe your hands of it and say, oh, done, all good to go.
I was looking at an ad today, and I know you guys have these on your feed and they come up and it's like, look, as a business owner, you don't have to do anything. You can just hire AI and it'll do all your marketing for you. And which sounds really tempting. It sounds really nice. The problem with that is that you don't ever learn how to do any of that. And so AI and Chat GPT, I just wrote an ebook on it, and there's a special right now. It's a limited offer. You can get that and the cancer one, how to cure cancer. Well, I shouldn't say cure because I'll get deleted off YouTube. How to tackle cancer. There you go. How to tackle cancer naturally, what to do and what not to do. It's like the Cliff Notes. And then I wrote this book on AI, talking about what the end game is. And the end game is very financial. Most people aren't going to see the end game, but part of that end game is getting us to the point where we don't know how to do much because we are so invested into AI doing it for us. And I know that it's convenient. I know that it sounds amazing, but it robs us of learning skills. We don't have those skill sets, and that's going to bite us about 2029. It's going to start really biting us, and we're going to start wondering why we fell for it. I really believe that.
Well, yet again, it's the same thing as
Mhm.
with students in a classroom.
Yeah.
What are we teaching them to do? What is the role of the teacher? Is the role of the teacher to
Mhm.
provide information and leadership in the classroom, or is the job of the teacher to help, be the gatekeeper to, the internet?
Mm. That's
Teaching
true.
is
You're
no
right.
longer, I had a teacher who looked at all, she was my 5th grade teacher. She looked at all our handwriting and said, y'all are a
Mhm.
mess. And she went back and got the 3rd grade, the Zahner Blouser, handwriting
Mhm.
books. And it was so humiliating. We were 5th graders, and she made us all learn how to write all over again.
Hmm.
And I credit her, excuse me, for completely changing my handwriting. I get
Interesting.
complimented on my handwriting all the time unless I'm in
Wow.
a hurry,
I'm jealous.
because I had a teacher who
Mhm.
used her brain and said, you all need to learn to write better. Not
Mhm.
that's the actual physical, how to
Right.
write with a
So
pencil, not what we were writing,
yes.
but
So
how to
yeah.
actually physically write with a pencil
Do
on
you
a
know
piece of paper.
how important that is? When I was growing up, my mom, who I thought was a Nazi, um, no, I'm just teasing, because she was just strict. She was really strict, and she had us write creative writing stories. And we had to write a first draft, and it had to be, we were little, like we were all like 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We had to write out something that happened to us during the week. And then we had to write it into like a page, like a story. And then we'd turn it into her. This was on Sunday. She would go through and she would circle the errors in red. And then we had to go back and we had to find what was wrong with like how to fix the error. And then a second draft. And if it needed a third draft, she did that. And then that was we got the ability to watch Disney at 7 o'clock at night. You guys remember that? The Disney show that used to come on Sunday nights at 7. So we got to watch Disney if we finished in time. And then later on, she compiled those into like a mini journal for us. And so it was nice. But it did teach us how to write. It did teach us how to spell. And I can spell almost virtually any word from memory, just because I wrote so much. But I think it was so good for us. And we used to do that a lot more. Now it's just get babysat, be entertained by the TV, and we're not engaging in those types of things as parents. We're not. I should have done that more with my kids. I did it a little bit, but I should have done it more. And I could kick myself for not doing that, because it really did teach my brother and sister and I really great skills. And it was worth doing, even though at the time we dreaded it, we hated it, whatever. But it was so worth it for our future. But are parents even investing time like that into their kids? I don't know.
Well, I just recently had a 4th grader tell me that they don't do
Mhm.
spelling tests anymore because they have spell check.
Jeez, are you serious? Come on.
I'm totally serious.
Oh, come
We don't
on.
need to learn how to spell anything because we always will have spell check. And I'm like, not necessarily.
Or count. We have calculators, but still, we need to know how to
Well,
count.
I have to vote in favor of that one, because despite my being forced to memorize mathematical principles,
Right.
I'm not great.
Oh my
But I'm an
gosh.
adult now too.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's a difference between what you have to do and
Yeah.
the things you need to do as a 3rd grader, a 4th grader, 5th grader,
Mhm.
and the skills and capacities you have as an adult.
Somebody just wrote in a comment, and it was this to the show, the texting line, and a YouTuber used and trained an AI agent to help him grow his channel. And then he reached a point where the agent said that he had no voice, his image and his programming patterns. So the human YouTuber could stop working, that the agent could do his daily channel. So the YouTuber thought, well, okay, great. I trained an AI to replace me. He had to find what made him human that the AI couldn't do. And that is such a key point right there, because our humanness is going to be what helps us thrive in the future after 2029, when so much of this goes wrong for us. It's the humanness that we're going to miss too. And
If
anyway,
you
that was a good
recall,
point.
Stanley Kubrick
Yeah.
in 2001: A Space
Mhm.
Odyssey
Yeah.
was visionary, absolutely visionary, when Hal was going to lock the astronaut out of the
Mhm.
spacecraft, right?
Right.
And as the astronaut disassembled Hal,
Mhm.
the computer was sad. The computer, this is Stanley Kubrick for you, right?
Okay.
HAL 2000 was complaining and sad, like, I can feel it, I can feel it. while the astronaut had become less emotionally tied. So are we headed in that direction?
Right.
I don't know.
Here's a
But
comment.
I think that's right. We have to find the things that make us human, our ability to think and feel and connect. And speaking of which, let's talk about this. One of the things that the big complaint is about with is social media. And we're hearing a lot. We have to seriously get control of kids on social media, because look how mean and bad they are to each other, right?
Right.
There's bullying out there. There's horrible things.
That's what they say.
However, what they do not ever want to talk about, and this yet again comes from the how we're being hijacked, and the way this ethicist from Google describes it, he says, okay, they put a slot machine in everyone's pocket. Las Vegas has contemplated, how do we make playing slot machines more addictive?
Right.
It's intermittent reward, right? So you put a slot in, maybe you get a jackpot, maybe you get nothing. So I put another one in, maybe I get a little jackpot, and I think, oh, I can play, I can get more. So you keep coming back to the slot machine until, over and over and over. The social media networks that have been developed with that idea specifically in mind. How can we addict people to this platform and keep them here for the maximum amount of time?
Right. Yeah.
If you are a person as an adult, even I struggle with like turning it off. An autoplay, I'm on watching some little video, some reel on so whatever, Instagram or Facebook or wherever, and the next one plays automatically because they want to keep me there as long as possible. And I find sometimes, hours can go by before I'm like, I'm so disgusted with myself. I just wasted all this time.
Right.
But for youth, sometimes the reward comes in likes and, interaction, social interaction. And there can be very positive things that come from social media. They've done some work with elderly people who find that they find friends and they find networks of people that they can interact with. You can continue to learn. I love YouTube myself because I learn all kinds of things that I never would have contemplated. I wouldn't even know how to find out how to learn that.
But you know what my question is though? I wonder how hooked our older generations, I'm talking about our generation, the ones older than us, our generations are hooked on that kind of praise compared to somebody that's being raised in it. So I wonder what that difference is. And I wonder if there's ever been any studies on that, because where we didn't get that growing up and all through our formative years, I'm wondering if maybe we're just not, are we as hooked on, I don't think we're as hooked on the praise. Like we have to get a certain number of likes to feel worth. Does that
right?
Yeah.
Yes. And I agree with that. And they have found that what the studies have shown now is that social rejection. Do you like to be rejected in person?
I love it.
Yeah.
It happens every day.
That, right?
It happens
and
every
what
day to
the
me.
studies have found is that social rejection online is the same as social rejection in person.
Yeah.
So if you have a teenager, and it hits girls and boys differently, as young people differently than older people. But they're finding that addictive quality that keeps you hanging there and hanging there and hanging there, combined with the factor of, this other person they have 500 friends and I only have 400 friends.
Right.
So that it gives you a ranking. It gives you an ordered ranking to know how much you're loved. We never had that as kids. I didn't ever go to my friends on the school bus and say, how many friends do you have?
Right.
How many friends
That's
do you
true.
have? How
That's
many friends
true.
do you have? Oh, I got 15 likes today. You only got 10. I'm better than you.
In fact, I think for those that were bullied they would go home and it was a sanctuary away from school, and we didn't know what anyone was doing. So if you didn't get invited to a party, then you didn't really, unless word got out, you didn't really know. So now everyone's posting the best parts of themselves and making it look like every single thing they're doing is fun and amazing and perfect. So there's such a false sense of this amongst our youth. Like, it's such a false sense of everyone is having this amazing life but me. Just like when you get on Instagram and you think everyone's making millions of dollars but me. And it's simply not true. So
Even my kids at one point told me one time, they're like, Mom, you got to get off of social media for a while, because the comparison, it was when, everybody else has a beautiful, clean house and their kids are all well behaved, and look at our mess. And my kids are, spitting on the floor. It's just a mess here. And my kids were just like, it's not like that at anybody else's house either, Mom.
Right.
It's very easy to get sucked into that. And I think as I've gotten older, I've been less responsive to that. I'm like, oh, I've had enough experience now to know. Somebody just told me, oh, you look like you're living your best life. And I'm like, well, if you judge me on social media, I'm putting my best foot forward. You're not seeing like my sticky kitchen floor. You're not seeing, 3 days worth of dishes in my sink.
Right.
Because I'm not going to show you that picture. You're only going to see the fun that we had when we went out and had a picnic at a park, where we have a curated image, and teenagers do it too.
Yeah. And we also, on that same note, I was talking about before too, as far as, your worth and self-esteem. One of the things that you learn as you grow up and you mature is that self-esteem comes from really doing things and getting it from that. It isn't from what people say to you. So your parents could say to you, you're perfect every single day, but it would not give you self-esteem. Self-esteem comes from learning and achieving and doing and all of those things, right? So as we head into AI world, and AI is supposed to relieve us of our work and do everything for us, where is that self-esteem coming from for these kids who are thinking that that the goal is not to do anything. The goal is to just even be more mobile and dependent than we are now. Then I can't even imagine what that's going to be like in 20 years, 10 years. I can't.
I think one of the things that's really changed
no self-esteem
in the social media world that we live in now is that it's all become data. It's all become quantified. I can judge myself if I've lost people off of my social media. That's a rejection.
Right.
I can go back and look and see who just canceled me on social media. I can, if I put a post up and nobody likes it, does nobody care? Does nobody like my post? Nobody likes what I have to say. And I think that the pressure of that, and this guy, Tristan Harris, also points out that we've developed a certain set of unwritten, unspoken social rules for the media world that we're in. Meaning if I put, and this just happened, I just celebrated an anniversary, and I put a picture of my husband and I up on our anniversary. Now, everybody that comments on that, and I've thought about this before, if I click, okay, so friend A says, lovely picture, and I click a like. Yeah. And my next friend comes in and says, oh, you two are so cute. Well, if I don't put a like, I'm thinking, oh, what are they going to think? Do they think I don't like their comment?
Interesting. Okay, let's take a quick phone call. Okay, caller, go right ahead.
Yeah, a couple of points here. One is self-esteem. You're almost right when you say it's doing things that create self-esteem. It's actually productivity, achievement.
I said that.
But the point you've been making here, Melissa, the one statement AI is designed to please users, that's right. And you know who taught AI to do that? The people that control the politicians. If you go to town hall meetings and just listen to their speeches, constantly the enemy, the tyrants, people promoting tyranny and advancing tyranny, are always praising the audience or praising the community. We have the best county in the country. We have the best state.
That's true.
Americans today are great, and it's a constant tactic they use, and that's what AI is using. And remember, who programs AI? The same people who control those politicians.
Oh, amen, brother. Thank you.
Well, it would be interesting if we began to think of AI more like a politician. Like,
It's so true.
this is just the politician in my
Yeah.
computer
It's so
telling me
true.
what I want to hear.
Right. No, it's the truth, and it's there to groom you into thinking that, you're the smartest and greatest human being because they want to be your bestie. And if I believed in long-term plans, which I do, I would say that that's all by design, and that we are becoming so dependent, and I am too. When I'm in the kitchen a lot, and I'm baking a lot, and I'm cooking a lot, and it's one of my hobbies. And the thing is I will turn to Google to ask it a quick question. I will turn to ChatGPT to ask a quick question on something that I need an answer to, and I even know what's going on, and what's going on, but you're prone to use it because it's right there at your fingertips. It
Well,
sucks.
I think these are tools.
Yeah.
It's like any tool, any tool that, if I can, I can have a hammer in my hand and I can build a house with it, or I can clock you on the
Yeah.
head with it.
Right.
Every tool has pluses and minuses. It can be used depending on how we choose to use them and how we choose to rein them in, perhaps, will depend on our desire to have a healthy, happier system.
Yeah.
This whole thing made me think, what would happen if our social media, if for I think it's Australia that has just said, they don't want anyone under 16 on social media. And I think that's probably a good idea anyway. But beyond that, what if they just took away all that quantification? What if they took away the likes? What if they took away
just post it.
the friend counts?
Yeah.
Would that address some of this without any censorship at all?
Here's a comment coming in on the texting line. This is why social media is evil. If you give someone self-esteem, they don't need acknowledgement from others. I could care less what others think about me. That's true. I mean, I've developed a shell because I've had to, because after doing this for over 16 years, it's gotten a little crazy with hate mail. But I will tell you that it can be done. You can create sort of a barrier to it, but I just don't know how our youth are going to do it, because I didn't grow up with all that crap. I didn't. And I do believe, I really do believe, just as the caller said, it comes from achievement. And this is messing with our brains more than we realize, more than we can ever even understand.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
And by the way, I don't necessarily think all self-esteem comes from success and achievement. I think
success,
self-esteem
doing things.
Actually comes from doing things that are hard for you.
No, that's what I meant.
And finding success.
I never said success, because success is relative. It was about a little kid that can just start strumming on the guitar. They feel that little jolt from I just played something, even though they really didn't. I just played something. So for them, that is a big deal. It's I just put something else in my tool belt. That's what gives us confidence. So it doesn't mean that they have to do it great. It just means that it's something.
The attempt counts.
Yeah, the attempt counts. Yeah. Not the trophy, not the participation trophy. I'm not talking about that.
No,
but
and I think participation trophies have led us to some of these places.
Gosh,
I
they're
think
awful.
There's a relationship between participation trophies and the number of likes you have on a social media post.
Yes, I totally agree with that.
What's interesting about social media is that the studies say that the number of people, I can have 1,000 people in my friend group on social media, but the number of people that I, as a human being, am actually capable of interacting with on a regular basis, people that I consider part of my own actual inner circle, is the same, whether we're in a medieval village, whether we're with Plains Indians living in a village, whether we're in, modern China. It's the same worldwide, and it's the same over time. That as a human being, we only have so much so much capacity for sustaining those kinds of friends in the ways that we would like to. So how many of those thousands of, if you look at a big celebrity that has thousands and thousands of friends, so to speak, how many of them are actually friends? None of them.
Yeah.
Because they have the same number in their inner circle that everybody else does.
True. That is true. That is very,
it's
very
an
true.
Interesting fact. And how much better off would our teens be to not be in that competition. You're a teenage person is better off. I mean, I was better off with the people that I hung out with in high school, the people I sat with at lunch, and just invested in them than if I had had a friend group on a social media account of 5,000 people.
Right.
Because I'm not interacting with those people.
True. I've noticed too that church groups, I think over the last, like, say 20, 30 years, I've noticed that they don't do as much gathering as they used to do. Maybe it's just me. You guys correct me. I don't know. They don't do as much gathering, as many events as they used to, because we have social media. Social media has kind of replaced so much, just like it sort of replaced like yearbooks. It's replaced. You don't need those anymore. You don't really need reunions anymore because everyone's reunioning all the time on Facebook and on Insta. So it's kind of like, it's replaced so many things that I think we're going to desire human interaction a lot more. That's going to come to kind of a stopgap at some point, because we are humans. We need that humanness, like we mentioned earlier. You have to have that. So
and the place where the internet is good, and the place where social media is good, is when you have a unique interest or you want to pursue something uniquely. And maybe there's nobody else in my town that wants to learn how to do that.
Yeah.
But I can find people across the country and be a part of this online community, and that's great. But that's not a substitute for the community that you live in.
Yeah.
Or the people that you're going to sit down at dinner with tonight. For the people that you can call and say, hey, can we go out and do something? Can we go hang out somewhere? You want to watch a movie? It's a different group. I have friends on social media, people that I've never met that I consider dear friends, some of them in this listening audience.
Yes.
And they're
I do
wonderful
too.
people, and I consider them to be friends. However, I can't go to a movie with them. Like I said, I'm not going to sit down and have dinner with them. It's a different kind of friendship. And we need to just be aware of that and recognize that and say, okay, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And you can take the good on both sides. But if we're only nourishing one side of the equation and not the other, we're not going to be very happy either way.
You know, Matthew made a point on YouTube. The problem is that many kids aren't interacting with others in person at all. And so social media has replaced that. And that is very true. And if you guys are noticing the anxiety levels are going up around the nation, could be a lot of different causes, but I've been noticing it as movie plots and incorporated into characters that you would never see, on how I'm tackling my anxiety as a leading man character. And it's been kind of weird. And I thought, when you said that, Matthew, on YouTube, I wonder about this moving forward, as far as there's a lot of kids that if they have to make a phone call and actually talk to somebody, they panic. They literally panic. And how many kids are having those kinds of issues about interaction with a human, with somebody, I don't know. I'm hoping.
It has twisted people's expectations of actual human interaction all out of proportion. If the newest thing now is that, cutting off your parents when you're a young married person with a young family. Oh, my mom and dad, they were horrible people, so I'm going to go no contact with them.
Right.
That is a thing that is on the increase right now. And it makes me wonder whether some of this is the unsustainable expectations we have of one another. We're no longer able to look at our parents and say, oh, you know what? They did the best they could. God bless them.
Yeah.
We can't say that anymore, because everybody's got this just sad story about how they were traumatized as children. Well, guess what? Stand in line. Everybody was traumatized. Get over it. Move on.
It's
You're
a definite, it's a victimhood too. It's like I'm a way to portray yourself as a victim.
How much is what we see and experience all the time, and kind of the busyness of our life, is that how much of that is being driven by the internet?
Well, look at how many people are sitting there looking at reels. And now they're saying, if you want to advertise, your reel has to change an image every 2 seconds in order to keep somebody on there for, I'm not joking, 15 seconds. I'm like, and people are just going scroll to scroll to scroll to scroll, and that dopamine hit. I mean, what is that doing to our brain? Even above and beyond Google,
Well-
even above and beyond not learning the skills, but constantly typing. As we said earlier in the show, the brain doesn't light up when you type, it lights up when you handwrite. So, I mean, we're losing a lot because now our dopamine hits have to be every 2 seconds, or we don't stay on a reel for 15 seconds. Oh my gosh.
Well, we know
bad.
what it's doing to children.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
absolutely know.
Right.
And teachers will tell you that the attention span in a classroom, if you have a child who's been on, some kind of gaming system since they were 3 years old, that it's going to be very difficult to sustain their attention to learn to add in first grade.
Right.
It's going to be hard because they are also addicted already to that dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And so I started the hour with James Holt. No, excuse me, not James Holt, Neil Postman. And Neil Postman, in the book, Teaching as a Subversive Activity, that I read all those years ago as I was just starting in my teaching career, he said it is the job of the classroom to be the contrarian to the popular culture. He said, if the popular culture is moving faster and faster, the classroom needs to move slower and slower to help students to counterbalance whatever's out there in the world. If the world is going all tech crazed, then maybe it is the job of the school to encourage paper and pencil and book.
Yeah.
And at the time I read that, I thought, this guy's a nutbag.
Yeah.
But as I look at it now, I think, oh my gosh, he was visionary. He saw this coming. And it's very difficult. And I deal with some kids, and they want their online stuff. They want their screens as soon as they're home from school. That's what they want.
I used to,
and I'm just like, no, we're going outside.
I had when I first started the show, I was talking about a spray and wash test. It's the parenting spray and wash test. If you're buying spray and wash or any stain remover from your children's clothes, you're doing good. You're a good parent because at least they're out playing, and at least they're out getting dirty, and at least they're out enjoying and using their imagination. But if you're not buying that and your kids are perfectly clean all the time, there's something wrong, and you need to basically get out there and push them out the door and tell them to go play, because we're missing that in society. They stay inside. They're very clean. Kids aren't usually clean. And it's a problem. And so the spray and wash test, it always reminds me of that for sure. Yeah.
Well, I think we need to be both in our individual lives and in our family lives and in our community lives. We need to become much more deliberate about what we're doing. And so I'll just share this with everybody. You can check back with me later in the summer. But I have noticed this tendency of myself. It's difficult for me to read a book.
Yeah.
So I have a summer reading program right now. I have it in place.
Okay.
I had ChatGPT help me build the book list.
Oh boy.
Which is fine. That's a great thing to do. ChatGPT knows the plots of every book, right? So I have a book list, and I'm going to pursue reading a book all the time. I want to have a book going all the time. I've got 3. I'm reading a book right now, and I have 2 more sitting on the shelf waiting. And that's my attempt to kind of counteract. And I know I'm about halfway through the book I'm reading now. And I went to pick up my phone, and I was like, do I do the phone or do I read the book? And I'm like, oh, this book is so good, I want to read the book.
Yeah.
That's where we need to be.
Book's always better.
So, as parents, we need to be more deliberate about what we're letting our kids do. When the kids come home and said, I want to sit on my screens for the next hour, you say no.
I was going to go with keister, but yes, I agree with you. Let's at least, I think, I don't mean being Amish. I mean, obviously we have to deal with this and work with this. And there are some pluses about it, just like there's some pluses about the internet. But the problem is how do we remedy this without losing what we're projected to lose and what we're losing right now? And so I would say that we almost have to work harder at doing the things that we thought come naturally, like going and playing and telling your kids to go play or do a lemonade stand. I mean, now they need a permit, but it's awful. But, back in the day, we
find
didn't.
exciting books to read.
Yeah.
We can help our kids experience actual things happening in our community.
Imagination.
In my town, they do a a live concert every Wednesday evening on at a park.
Yeah,
And
I
I'm
like
like,
that.
I need to be going to that.
Yeah.
I need to do that.
Mhm.
We can support those things in our community that
Yes.
are helping people to connect.
Yeah.
We can remember that the phone in our pocket, the laptop that we have, is a tool
Mhm.
that we use, not the other way around. We're letting it use us right now.
Yeah,
And
that's
we
true.
need to reclaim ownership of those tools and say, no, this is a tool. When I need to learn how to
Yeah.
fix my car, I'm going to look at a YouTube video about it.
Mhm.
But I don't need to sit here for the next 3 hours watching Michael Jackson videos. Which
It's so true. I mean, it's so bad. It's just so passive. It's such passive entertainment. We're just getting entertained, which means there's no real interaction except for the dopamine hit. So, and you know, like you started out the show with Google, and Google tells us the important information to know in those first 5, collected responses that it's programmed to do. There's a reason that Google was shining above all the other search engines, and that's because it's owned by the government. But they don't, G for government, G for Google. It is a, they even have an office in the White House. This is something that's pretty well known, right? Because the guy that started it was a front man. And so if we realize that the government wants us on their search engine the most, then what are they doing with it? Because I don't trust government. So what are they doing with that search engine? How are they curtailing information to us? And are we teaching our kids and grandkids this? Like, are we actually letting them know that there are things about it not to trust? I don't know. Because like I said, I go in looking for holes.
That's our job as parents.
I know.
And grandparents. That's what we can
Yeah.
do. Let's close it out with another Neil Postman quote, because I just adore this guy. He says,
Okay.
so here's his final say on this. Through the computer, the heralds say, we will make education better, religion better, politics better, our minds better, best of all, ourselves better. This is, of course, nonsense, and only the young or the ignorant or the foolish could believe it.
Ooh, wow. Crystal on YouTube says, oh my, the book selection at the local library is horrible. My tween said that most she could stomach the plots. At most she could, my tween said most she couldn't stomach the plots. Sorry, I can't read. Stomach the plots. And that is true. I mean, it's gone down. It's gone down. And we're going to have to fight harder and work harder as parents and grandparents.
If anyone is interested in joining my little book club, I would be happy to post my list of books. They're basically a not entirely Christian, but a Christian kind of framework.
Nice.
We
need that.
Books that help you to kind of contemplate how to live with faith and hope in a difficult world.
Excellent.
That's my reading list this summer.
Oh, I like it. How do people access this?
I will have to send it to you, Kate, and you'll
Okay.
have to post it.
Okay, I will do that. And, I just hope that we can kind of see the warning signs and see what's happening to us because of all this technology. I don't love it. I do utilize it from time to time because I'm like everybody else, but it's difficult, and I'm seeing the problems. And when we were talking early on about the brain lighting up when somebody's handwriting, the brain does nothing when you're typing. That's a pretty amazing study coming out of the Norwegians. So all I'm saying is we need to really pay attention and work harder as parents and grandparents, because it's not going to get better. It's going to get more lazy, more still, more dependency. And I do think that the dependency is being driven because if you have a dependency to getting on the internet for everything and it answering everything for you, and it's your work, it's your play, it's everything, then if they take that away due to non-compliancy, then what? Then what are we going to do?
Well, they already have a
we're not
study out of
prepared.
France that 65% of French school children feel uncomfortable if they are not near their phone.
Oh my gosh, this is so bad. This is so
And
bad.
what
It's
do you
bad
think
for
it
us
is
too,
here?
the adults too.
I don't know. They didn't do the study here, but
I think it's so bad.
It's an interesting statistic. And if you don't feel it, lose your phone and see how uneasy you feel.
Oh, it's bad. I know.
It is bad.
Yep.
It's a fact of life. We all have to have phone. I can't even go to my public library without using my phone to get my parking pass now.
Yeah.
So phones and the digital world is a
Yes.
fact of life. We're
Yes.
going to have to deal with it. But like I said, we are the ones. We are stronger. We are human.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe part of the solution is to slow down instead of to speed up.
Yeah.
It is what Neil Postman said. Whatever the culture is teaching us to do, we should do the opposite.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And
Slow down.
less dependency.
Save your brain, read a book.
The best thing I think we could do is teach curiosity. We should do a course on curiosity because that's the one thing we're missing the most of. This is why a lot of people are such sheeple, to tell you the truth. We just don't have curiosity anymore. We don't ask any questions. We take what's handed to us and we figure that's the answer. And it is amazing to me that we do not do more critical thinking. Although I am seeing more people that are questioning things, and that's good. I'm so glad. I don't know how you couldn't, because things are so obvious now, but it's that level of curiosity is really missing. We got to get that back for sure.
Well, it's so funny because when I'm reading this article about how Google hijacks your brain.
Mm-hmm.
And that example that I shared, like you're with a group of friends and you want to go out for an evening and you ask it and you get this list of restaurants. And I was like, yeah, of course you do.
Yeah.
And then when he goes on to say, well, you didn't get this and this and this. And I'm like, oh, I'm just as bad as everyone else. I would not have thought of that either. I would have looked at that list. He said, so what Google does is it changes the question that you had to start with. Your initial question was, where can I go for some social interaction with my friends? And the list that Google gave you is, where can I go to eat? Those are not the same questions.
It's so true. That is so true. So some dipwad named Primal Screams just made a comment doing a podcast complaining about technology. Honey, we're not complaining about technology. We're warning about it, and also what we can do about it and how it's affecting our brains. Please wake up. So, total dipwad. I swear, these people.
Like I said, I'm going to say it over and over. These things are tools.
Yeah.
There's tools that you can use to build. There's tools that you can use to destroy. And sometimes it's the same tool.
So
use your tools wisely and carefully.
So true.
That's the message.
It's so true. And so we're not complaining, we're warning. Big difference. And, we need to do this more. People should be doing it more. But really, when you jump on Instagram and you jump on all these different social medias, it's really appealing to how you can just make money fast and listen to us and get everything done for you. And you're going to make millions. It's the promise of that. Get the ebook, the Hidden Agenda of AI, because it's not what you expect it to be. And I just put this out. It's at katetalks.myshopify.com right there on the screen. There's a special right now for a limited time, that and the cancer book. It's like a twofer. You get both for one price. And it supports the work. It supports the research that goes into this. And so I really appreciate you guys doing that, because the Tackling Cancer book is important information. If you want to tackle it and you don't want to have to do hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of research, this is the book you get. It's a booklet. It's amazing. And please go get it. And it came from so much research and interviews with holistic doctors. And then the Hidden AI book is just kind of an interesting, different take on AI, where we're headed with it, why it's being used as a catalyst right now. And I don't hear anyone talking about that particular angle. So you might want to grab that one too. It'll be good reading for you this summer. Go to katetalks.myshopify.com. There are other ebooks too. I'll be uploading the truth about organ donation as well. Now I'm gone tomorrow and next week, and Melissa is too. So I just wanted you guys to know that, and I'll be back the week after. I take this next week off every year. So I just wanted you guys to know that, but I appreciate so much. Anything else, Melissa?
No, I'm good.
You're good.
I can't wait to get back to my book.
No, that was really interesting. I hope we read more and digest the internet less. I hope we develop skills and digest the internet, less. And I think we'll be better for it. And we got to get on our game with kids and grandkids too, because it's going to be harder for them to not grow into dependency. So on their phones and on the internet. So I appreciate you. Thank you, Melissa. And of course, remember, I'm out next week and tomorrow, and also go get the ebooks. Also, go get some Cardio Miracle. It'll help you feel really good this summer. I have so many friends that drink Cardio Miracle, and what's interesting about it was these are my friends that are doing these long bike rides, and they have all this energy, and it's kind of amazing to watch them. And then years ago, my father-in-law started taking it, and then my husband started taking it, and I was kind of slow to the process. And then I took it once a day. I didn't really feel much, so I put it aside. And everybody sends me supplements to take, and so I was a national show, and so everybody was sending me stuff, and I would try it out. But when I started doing Cardio Miracle twice, it made this enormous difference, and I could feel it. So when you can feel a product and you love a product, you're going to talk about a product, and that's Cardio Miracle. It's 20 times the fruits and vegetables. It's nitric oxide. It's helping people with everything. Cognition. It's helping people with all kinds of stuff. Hair, skin, nails, you name it, weight, keeping you full. I do 2 doses a day of it. It's kind of sip on the second dose, and it's truly, truly worth it. So I really would tell you, if you were looking at a lot of supplements, and I know a lot of people talk about a lot of supplements, but that one was a game changer only because I have taken so many. So I will tell you which ones I can feel and which ones I don't. And this is the one that I feel the most. So cardiomiracle.com/Kate, go get it, because I'm not going to recommend something to you that I don't absolutely love and that I take every day. My husband won't go without it either. And I even take it when I travel. So I'm telling you that this is amazing product, and you can try it for free for 30 days if you want. You return it if you wanted to, but you won't, because you'll feel it. But take it twice a day. cardiomiracle.com/Kate, and really appreciate you going and doing that. Also supports the show and supports this research as well. If you want to donate to the show, it's Kate at katedalleyradio.com on PayPal. So you can donate to the show. It's desperately needed right now. You can't even imagine how many times I've been censored and what that's done to this show. And also the Formula IQ. FormulaIQ.com is where I get my other supplements that I take. And I don't take all of them all the time. I kind of space out different ones that I need. But Formula IQ has the copper that I take, and that is vital to your immune system. Remember, virus was invented in 1907 because they had to mask your bad immune system. And they had to mask all these symptoms of a bad immune system going south on you when they were delivering all these toxins and all these chemicals to us along the way. And that's why they had to disguise it. So virus is invisible unless you mix it with bacteria. So what does that make it? It makes it bacteria. But they had to have a reason. Oh, you have a virus. Oh, yeah, you have a virus. We can't do anything about that. You got a virus. Well, it's your immune system showing symptoms of things not working in your body. So there are so many things to know. And these ebooks, you can find the ebooks at katetalks.myshopify.com. It supports the show. And I really, really appreciate you and supporting this research, because I'm one of the only independents left. Most are owned, and even some small podcasters that you think are not are. So most people on the right and the left are completely owned media. They have parameters, and they're told what to say, told what to cover, and I am not, and either is Melissa. So look, I am telling you, support your media that is independent, because it's needed. It's needed. Thank you so much, and be faithful, be fearless, and I will see you week after next. Okay. All right, you guys. Thank you. And we're out.